Hi, welcome back. It's time for us to talk about texture, one of the things that's the most fun about playing with watercolor. The very first way that we can control texture is by our first stroke of paint. We've talked about this a little bit previously. If I start with my puddle of my ultramarine, and then take this loaded up brush, got a lot of pigment and a lot of water, and take some of the water out, letting that suck up some of that moisture. That becomes what I could use as a dry brush. And the dry brush part of this is right out here at the edge. It's so dry that some of the bristles aren't carrying any pigment anymore. They're just creating sort of a thin little white line. That sort of scratchy effect, which might make a nice weathered board on a siding of an old building or something if you were making a painting of an old building, that texture is what is going to make that really look fantastic. There's another way you can do that. I'm going to just take a flat wash that I made previously and I've let it dry. And I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper. This happens to be a coarse sandpaper, like size 80. And I just tear a little piece off the big sheet of sandpaper and fold it so that the sand makes a scratchy edge right here at the place I folded it. And that edge, if I draw that through the paint, don't forget this is dry paint now, I can create that weathered board look as well. So it's another way to get that sort of scratched texture. Dry brush, sandpaper on a flat wash. Okay, one of my standby methods of adding some texture to a wash, like a flat wash, is to use a mist bottle. These are not very expensive, but it provides a fairly fine mist, which is going to texture your paint with little spots of clean water, which will bloom out a little bit. Let's just make a little splashy spot for ourselves to see this effect. I'm going to use some indigo, a beautiful dark blue, night sky kind of color, and I'm just going to get that in the middle of my juicy, watery mess. I'm letting it dry for a minute. I need to be patient. I can still see quite a bit of reflection, quite a bit of shininess still to this wash of indigo. And I want to wait till that has started to go down into the fibers of the paper a little bit. And then I'm going to hold my mist bottle, maybe about 10 inches or so above the paper, and give it a light misting all over. As this dries, I want you to watch the texture. It's a little pebbly now. It's got little spots where there's been clean water droplets that are starting to make the pigment create a textury pattern. Let's let that dry. Okay, my mist experiment is all dry, and I just want you to take a look at the kind of texture you can create with that. It could be the skin of an orange, it could be a night sky, it could be a big boulder with some lichen on it. It really changes and enriches that field of color that you started with just a wash. So the misting bottle gives us small circles of clean water, small little droplets of clean water into our wash. We can do that also with a brush to create those little water spots. And we typically will call those blooms, where the water activates the pigment to kind of spread out on the paper in a special way. I bet it's happened to you already in some of the little experiments that we've done where some water has washed back over from the edge of your paper and gotten back into your paint and left a little mark that you might not like. But when we've learned to control those, they can be really great effects in our paintings. I'm going to go ahead and use that indigo again to create a nice rich dark that we hopefully can see what's going on a little bit here. I just am putting this on dry paper. Now I'm ready to put some water onto this and see what happens with that blooming effect. I'm going to take my rigger first. Let's just get some clean water on our rigger and put a little, just let it touch the surface in one spot and let that do its thing. After a minute or so, I can start to see how the water that's running out from where I dropped it, just like the ripples in a pond, it's moving outward, carrying pigment with it. So there's a lot darker edge out at the edge of this sort of amoeba shape that started to grow here. Very similar to patterns in nature, like lichen on a rock. And that can be used by us as artists to create interesting things in our paintings. I have used it a lot to make like sagebrush because I love the the Southwest desert. Let's put another one nearby. This is a little bit drier now. In fact, this area right here is practically dry. And if I put a drop of water there, let's see what happens to it. Nothing says I have to use a rigger. If I want to use more water, I could use a larger brush. And I'm going to show you what happens if I touch some clean water at the edge of this wash here where there's still some wet paint. Let's take our round number 8 and just touch some clean water down here at the bottom of this wash. Okay, once I've let that dry, I can take a look at some of the things that happened. I hope you'll do a number of these experiments because these tend to take time and practice to get it to do exactly what you want it to do. But if I were to turn this board around and take a look at this bloom right here, that looks pretty much like a bush to me, some sort of shrubbery. And I could touch it up and finish it up. I might just use the very same indigo. And let's put some earth, some rocks or something under here. So my plant here is in the landscape. And let me take my rigger and let's just put a few stems into that bush. And I'll let that dry. Notice all the subtle little feathery stuff that happened at the edge of that bloom. And that's what I was going for. I think it'll really be a fun way to experimentally start enhancing your paintings. A fun way to add texture to watercolor is using salt. Fun, but unpredictable. It takes some practice, and I'm going to really encourage you to experiment a bit. You can use just whatever salt you have on your table. I have found that coarse kosher salt works pretty well for the effects that I want to achieve. The crystals are fairly large. With watercolor paint, every crystal is going to do a little magic trick for you. I think it might help if I start with my paper fairly wet here, and then we'll get into that indigo again. You'll find that various colors might make more or less of an effect with this. But while that's still fairly wet, I'm going to give it a second to kind of sink into the fibers of the paper a little bit. I'm going to take some of these crystals and sprinkle them on the surface. Now, I'm not just throwing a whole 1,000 of them. I'm trying to have a little bit of room in between so you'll be able to watch the effects over time. It's going to take some patience. I want to let the natural process happen rather than using a heat gun or a hair dryer because it's what happens around each of those crystals that's the exciting part. This is actually where water, clean water from my initial wetting of the paper ran back into that indigo, and it leaves that bloom line right there. The salt has done its work. Each crystal has left a little snowflake. This is a great effect for snow. I guess I want to warn you that a little goes a long way with this technique. If you overload it and think, oh, one's beautiful, I'm going to put in 10, it's going to get less and less effective. I would encourage you to just underdo it a little bit. But experiment. This is not a technique that is completely predictable. I'm using my finger, my slightly clean finger, to brush off some of those salt crystals after it's completely dry. If you do this too soon, you're going to wreck your painting. It creates just a sparkly, beautiful effect, feathery little snowflakes. Give it a try. Have some fun. I hope that gave you a few ideas of how to start playing around with texture in your paintings. And now we're coming to probably the most important thing of all, the mantra that I tell myself over and over as I'm working on a painting. How am I adding variety? I'll see you on the next lesson. Hi, I'm Bob. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you'll go by my website at watercolorwithbob.com. That's where you'll find an interactive outline of the whole course. You can also share your work with me and your fellow students. One thing I really love about watercolor is how accessible it is. That's why I realized it was important to me to put this course out for free. That said, it would mean the world to me if you would support this work. You can like it, you could share it with your friends, you could subscribe to the channel, you could also visit the gift shop or even make a donation. Thanks so much. See you on the next lesson, and happy painting. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.